Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing at the Polderbaan. At the moment, the only runway being used for arrivals, and the first airplane arriving today on the show is going to be Finnair flight 1301, arriving from Helsinki, Finland. Airbus A321. The canal next to the runway is still being dredged, getting deepened. So as you already saw just now, and we'll see again, there's vehicles all over, making direct butt shots a bit difficult to see. There is not only this crane or excavator, but also a little house immediately behind it that are standing in the way. I'm already a bit further to the north. Now, of course, this airplane was not taking the first exit, so no butt shot here. We did also see the firefighters in the background. Not sure if they are going out or if they are returning to the station. Let's have a quick look. See if they re-emerge. Oh yeah, they are outbound on a patrol round. Perfect timing. And this looks like a regular round around the Polderbaan. So we will see them up close on this side of the runway in a few minutes. Now, it's all quiet over here in terms of weather. You can see it is overcast, but it is not very dense clouds. You can see bits of blue in between here and there. Not expecting an abundance of sunshine just yet, but we might get to see the sun later in the day, now and then. Hardly any wind. Visibility is okay-ish. Not perfect, but definitely acceptable. Firefighters on their way. Now, immediately opposite of me, moving north. The next airplane, slowly but surely getting closer by. We can already see the lights. Qatar Triple arriving from Doha. In the meantime, a very good morning to everybody who has tuned in already. Cargo Lock 747 fan, Dallas, Australia. Good morning. David, goedemorgen. Good morning. JD, Marja, Valentijn. Who else? Herr Wolf, Wolfgang, good morning. Eva, goedemorgen. Who else is there? Erwin, goedemorgen. Mr. Biker, good morning, Paul. Marina, good morning. Marcel, goedemorgen, good morning. Vinnie, good morning. Marco, Jimmy, Alan, good morning, mates. Nijmeegse Nieuwsnet, goedemorgen. Erik, goedemorgen, good morning. Derek, Dexus, good morning. Nijmeegse Nieuwsnet, they are dredging the canal, het water uitdiepen. So, making sure that it isn't so easy for me and other live streamers to swim across, as if that's a big hurdle. Our next airplane is a 777 freighter arriving from Doha, Qatar Cargo, flight 8205. 6 hours and 16 minutes underway. 7-year-old airplane, first flight April 2016. Dutch Kangaroo, goedemorgen, good morning. Martin, goedemorgen, good morning. Tuning in from Norwich. Rick, goedemorgen. Peter, goedemorgen. Hope everybody is doing well. Enjoying the weekend that is ahead of us, for at least most of us. The Aussies are already nearly halfway through their weekends. Well, this weekend I should say. So we've got a few visual obstructions today. Unfortunately, cannot be helped. Everything is spaced out over here in the area where all the action takes place. Now, unfortunately, or maybe luckily for us, they're not going to move today. Firefighters are on the move, however. They are coming this way. They are already on this side of the canal. The next airplane is also coming this way. Delta Airlines Flight 162, Airbus A330neo arriving from Minneapolis. Let me do a quick rundown of the current status quo. In terms of the METAR, we have a little bit of wind blowing from the west. 5 knots, 2 bow 4. Nothing to write home about. We've got a few clouds at 600 feet, scattered clouds at 3,800 feet. Temperature is 9 degrees Celsius or just under 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Not much is going to change in that respect. We are standing over here next to the Polderbaan, currently the only runway being used for arrivals. Departures take place from the still open but soon to be closed Kaagbaan, runway 0624, and runway 18 left is also being used for departures. The first of the 3 firefighters is coming this way. And the latter 2 are also underway. Right. Next up, Delta Airlines Flight 162 arriving from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Airbus A330neo. And flap tip vortices once again emanating from the tips of the flaps. Indicative of relatively high humidity in the air. Similar to what we saw last Thursday. In case you haven't seen it yet, yesterday I posted a compilation of some of the visually most impressive landings of last Thursday. Now, good morning, Patrick, Marianne, Rudolf, who I already spoke with before going live, patrolling around the perimeter today with his co-worker. Andre, good morning, guten Morgen. Mike S, good morning. Other Mike, also good morning. Ricardo, goedemorgen. John, good morning. Alan, good morning. Mrs. Professor, good morning. Good to see you again. Adam, good morning. Hopefully I'm not missing anyone. Let's see. Blackburst, good morning, my friend. Hope all is well. Ironat Cosmin, good morning. Hope I pronounced that properly. Mahendra Giri, also good morning. Marco, good morning. Freddy, good morning. RDW, goedemorgen. Tarnish, Stefan, good morning. Justin, John, good morning. So many people tuning in already. Our next airplane is British Airways, an A320 arriving from London Gatwick, flight 2540. The airplane is 22 years old. The first flight was in April 2001. The next airplane after this one is going to be a Lufthansa A320 arriving from Frankfurt. Hopefully I can also show you the situation in terms of expected traffic, the heavies. Thinking about sticking around until approximately 1 p.m. and I will tell you why in a minute. If you're new to the channel and you hadn't noticed yet, left in the bottom left corner you will see the local time. So 1 p.m. is in, what is it, 3 hours and 15 minutes from now. So I'm turning back the camera to the north so that we can see the arrival of Lufthansa flight 988. Let me quickly go back to the computer and back to flight radar. So in terms of expected heavies and traffic, we see that the A321neo from Transavia is currently at Malaga and will return later in the morning, probably within the time frame of the stream. The KLM Orange Pride is coming in from the west, so even with parallel arrivals, very likely candidate to land on Polderbaan right in front of us. Expected around 12:37 local time. On the other side we can see the heavies, the quad squad. Emirates flight 147 expected early today, 12:18, accompanied by a Saudia cargo 747-400 that is 10 minutes earlier expected. And I'm expecting this to be the last airplane of the day, the China Airlines cargo 747-400. These are airplanes that are all expected later in the afternoon, 3:11, 2:05. There's another one arriving from the west, expected at 4:17. So the 747s are mostly late today. My plan is to stick around at least until these two have landed, this one has landed, and these have returned. Well, this one probably. Not sure what the go-around time over there is, of course, but I'm thinking it's very likely going to be within the time span and before 1 o'clock. Now, will these airplanes all land on the Polderbaan, the runway we are standing next to? That's always the question. Time will tell. Everything coming in from the west has a high degree of probability, but nothing is ever certain over here at Schiphol, as most of you will know by now. Right, next up, Lufthansa flight 988 arriving from Frankfurt, Airbus A320. It's one of those days where I need to press the label rapidly, well in advance, otherwise I'm not seeing the flight time. I'm looking at the time of departure and the time it is now, and it's 50 minutes underway, just under. The airplane is 8 years old. The first flight was in March 2015. Herzlich willkommen in die Niederlanden. Still clearing the last remnants of a cold infection. As you guys can hear me sometimes cough. That's a reflex that I cannot always suppress. I do try to cough as little as possible during streaming. This is a birth control vehicle. Bit hard to see because I'm now in digital zoom range and the picture gets pixelated. But you can see that there are birds on the front and the side behind the windows. That is actually a birth control vehicle. In addition to the pickup trucks that we are so used to see here over here. Also some people on the other side. Quite a few actually. Now, they don't seem to have arrived by car, or at least they haven't parked their car over there in the vicinity, in the immediate vicinity, which I think is good because I don't think it's allowed to park over there. It does provide an unobstructed view of the runway, unlike standing over here. Then again, the objects we are filming are on the move, so the obstructions are only temporary. Now, our next airplane to arrive, not yet visible, but according to flight radar, not too far away. Turkish Airlines flight 1951, arriving from Istanbul, Airbus A330-300. Now 2 hours and 55 minutes underway. That is par for the course. Istanbul, Amsterdam, typically around 3 hours. So this is well within the average range. The airplane is 13 years old. First flight January 2011. Should be established on the glide slope, but still far to the north. I do believe I see it visually. Yeah. There it is. Right, and I can also see that then there's another Airbus A330-300 from Delta coming this way, arriving from Detroit and arriving from the west. In the meantime, good morning to all other viewers who have joined in the meantime. I see William, goedemorgen. Jen Drossek, goedemorgen kerel. Marco, goedemorgen. Marco asks, how was your holiday? I had a great holiday. Thank you for asking. Lots of sunshine with the exception of the last skiing day and the return day. I also got the cold for free. So my immune system also has been upgraded a little bit. One more disease-causing virus that I am now hopefully resistant to. Was a bit too warm for perfect snow conditions, but I'd much rather have suboptimal snow and lots of sunshine than the other way around. So I had a great holiday, Marco. Joan or June, hello, hello, good morning. Lois, good morning. Mr. Boomstra George, goedemorgen. Evan, good morning. Top of the morning to you too, sir. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Stranger, good morning. Stranger says, that's a nice spotting location. Thank you so much, my friend. It's the same location I'm almost always using, except a few meters to the north because of the location. There's also a little house behind this excavator. And in the grass you can see where I normally stand. It's a bit trampled. Well, if I put the autofocus on, you can see it in detail. If I would stand over there, these things would be immediately in the way. And I hope, I haven't been able to test it yet, but I hope that standing over here does allow us to see, well, near butt shots. Don't think that this A330 is going to provide us with an opportunity to test if this location is properly aligned, but then again, I'm expecting this only to be a one-off location for today. Mr. Mauser, good morning. Javiation, goedemorgen. T-Mac, good morning. Anonymous, good morning. Yo, yo, yo. Eric says, didn't know you could get on the other side of that runway. Well, yeah, you can, absolutely. But it is a bit more of a hassle because it's not allowed to park over there. So if you want to play by the rules, you would have to park your car quite a stretch back, I think at the crossing where that street begins. Initially it was a continuous road, but of course when they built this polderbaan runway and everything adjacent to it, they basically cut it in half. The road you have to drive towards to get to the parking place of the Spottersplatz is actually the same road as is continued over there, the same name. By the rules, you would have to park your car, I think, 1 or 2 kilometers away, so you are still left with a, I think, near 20-minute walk to get to where these people are right now. Oftentimes you see people just drive over there and park their car. Then again, Rudolf and his colleagues are also patrolling on a regular basis. If they're having a bad day, you might get a very hefty fine from them. Knowing them, they will more than likely give you a warning first, but officially not allowed to park over there, and particularly not in front of the fence. That always has to stay clear under all circumstances. And good morning, Derek. Marcia, goedemorgen. Ciao, Paola. Good morning. David Meijer, goedemorgen. Martien, goedemorgen. Jadve, goedemorgen. John asks, how easy is it to get to that side of Polderbaan by public transport after landing in Schiphol? Well, I think the most easy thing to do if you would want to visit Polderbaan, unless you are willing to pay for an Uber and go door to door, I think one of the best options would be to take the train to the station and rent one of these bikes. This is a public transportation bike, OV-fiets it's called in Dutch, and they are for rent at most of the Dutch railway stations. That would allow you to cycle to the Polderbaan with relative ease and not having to go from, for instance, the center of the city of Amsterdam, which is substantially bigger distance. I think that would be the easiest to do. If I had to come here as a visitor by bike from Amsterdam or something like that, I think I would pick taking the train to Hoofddorp, and I think I'm almost certain that you can rent OV-fietsen, one of those bicycles that you saw just now, from that station. Allows you much more flexibility. Good morning, Meilhof. Goedemorgen, Gerrit. And indeed, Gerrit confirming that Hoofddorp is the most close station. Gerrit, do you also happen to know, I'm almost certain that the answer is yes, but do you happen to know if you can rent OV-fietsen over there as well? You probably can. This is Delta Airlines flight 136, by the way, folks. Airbus A330-300, cables emanating from the flap tips, the vortices. This one is coming in from Detroit, Michigan, where it left from 7 hours and 6 minutes ago. 8-year-old airplane. The first flight of this airplane was in June 2015. You're welcome, John. Hey, goedemorgen. Liewe. Indeed, returned son without hals- en beinbroek. Just a little cough, clogged nose and clogged ears, at least over the weekend. But that is child's play compared with fractures or anything. Was a bit tricky with sludgy snow and a lot of bumps starting to form again around noon. So it was relatively fatiguing, which is also why I slowed down and did not do as much of skiing as I did in the beginning of the week as the week progressed and the fatigue increased. Hope everything is alright on your end as well, Liewe. Chris, Plane Spot Corinthia, good morning. Servus, good morning, good to see you again. Hope all is well. Leen, goedemorgen. Also present again. Good to see you, mate. Hey Art, goedemorgen kerel. Also going spotting later. Where are you going to, Art? Are you coming over here or are you going to a different location? Oh! Gerrit says, I don't think you can get OV-fietsen, OV bicycles in Hoofddorp. Okay. Thought that it would have been a train station that is big enough. Well, the upshot, now that I think about it, is that you are allowed to take your bicycle in trains in the Netherlands. So even if you would have your hotel in the city center of Amsterdam, you would be able to rent one of those OV bicycles, for instance from Amsterdam Central Station or Amsterdam South. You could probably rent them from all train stations in Amsterdam, and you can take the bicycle along with you in the train. And in that case, your best bet is to go to Hoofddorp and cycle from there, as that is indeed the nearest train station to Polderdown. Right, this one is taking the first exit. Let's see how our proxy butt shot is going to be. Not too bad. Still, the distance is big enough that even when we stand, what is this, 10 meters or so, 30 feet more to the north, yeah, you do see the butt of, it's a double butt shot, you also see the butt of the excavator. Then again, we can still see butts from the airplane, so not a proxy butt shot, but an actual butt shot. That's good. It's getting busy with heavies, ladies and gentlemen. 3 consecutive heavies to begin with. This is United Airlines Flight 946, Boeing 7878. We can even see a little bit of vortices emanating behind the airplane in the clouds. If you look closely, or at least that's what I think I see on my screen over here. This dreamliner is arriving from Washington and has been flying for 6 hours and 33 minutes on this flight. The airplane has been flying in total for 10 years now. The first flight was in October 2013. Have to make sure I get the contact details of Hitachi so that I can send them the invoice for the advertising that I'm doing for free over here for them today. Oh wow. Again, vortices behind the airplane, beautiful. And the airplane itself, beautiful as well. Delta Airlines Flight 74, arriving from Atlanta, Georgia, A350-900. Beautiful airplane, beautiful livery on a beautiful airplane. Too late to see the flight time. The airplane age I still can see, 4 years. First flight June 2019. Let me already click in advance on the next airplane to arrive so that at least I can see the flight time as well. Top foil, wing fluff. Gorgeous. Righty. Next up is going to be KLM Flight 592, 777-300 ER. Arriving from Johannesburg, South Africa. This airplane has been on the way for 10 hours and 47 minutes as we speak. 15 years old in total. First flight was in March 2008. Nice wheelie. Right, it's getting busy. We've got a few narrow bodies as appetizers in between, and then another couple of heavies coming this way. So if you just joined us, welcome to the show. You're watching Amos Live. My name is Boyd. This is the Polderbaan runway 18 ride, and this is the first glide slope shot of the day. Two airplanes visible. The first one being Lufthansa flight 2302 arriving from Munich A320, and behind it is a KLM 737-800 arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle. KLM flight 1224. We might get to see, oh yeah, 3 airplane glide slope shot. The third airplane behind it is Pegasus arriving from Istanbul A321 Neo. And again, lovely to see how when it goes through the clouds, you can see the vortices forming behind it. Something you don't see very often. It's not as pronounced as I would have liked to see, but I think you guys can still see it quite clearly. Lufthansa flight 2302 arriving from Munich, the south of Germany, Bavaria. Flight time 1 hour and 11 minutes. The airplane is 4 years old. The first flight September 2019. Good morning to the pilots and the passengers, of course. Butt shot in the making. And the A350 in the background on its way back to the platform area, the main platform area, I should say. No time to waste. The next airplane is already almost touching down. KLM flight 1224, 737-800 arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Flight time, what is it? Quick math, 50 minutes. Okay, that's a bit longer than normal. I thought that Captain Willie had made promotion to the 737. The next up is going to be Pegasus flight 1251, I should say. Airbus A321 Neo arriving from Istanbul. You can see a bigger bird behind it already. That is American Airlines flight 204 arriving from Philadelphia, 7878 Dreamliner. There is another airplane behind, the Dreamliner, a 777-200 from KLM arriving from New York JFK, which I am, oh yeah, at 7 o'clock of the number 2, bottom left corner, just above the ticker and the time. Let's move back to the A321, which we saw on Thursday and are seeing today is quite the producer of vortices. Let's go back to the optical zoom range. Oink oink, the Fly Pigs has landed. Right. Next up, American Airlines Flight 204 arriving from Philadelphia. Behind it is KLM Flight 644 777-200 arriving from New York JFK. This is American Airlines Flight 204 in the foreground. Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner arriving from Philadelphia. Flight time 6 hours and 17 minutes as we speak. The airplane is 3 years old. The first flight was in July 2020. Hey, and that's the twinkling of another airplane moving towards the glide slope in the background that we saw momentarily. Or is that going to be an airplane? Are they opening up the center runway? Probably not. No, I think it was number 190 that we saw. KLM Flight 1954 arriving from Zurich, also going to the Polderbahn to land. Meanwhile, good morning Ronald, good morning Rick. Rick says in Leeuwarden it is sunny weather. Of course it is. Well, send some of that sunshine over here to Schiphol if you would. Definitely could use a bit of sunshine over here, although the high humidity also makes for some nice visual phenomena. Also a big thank you to Paul, celebrating 9 months of membership already, and says, wow, 9 months membership. Thank you so much for your continued support there, Paul. Very glad to have you as a valued member, and I hope you are going to stay one for many more months to come. But if not a member, then at least a frequent visitor. Thank you so much for your continued support there, Paul. 9 months. I think it's almost a year ago that I initiated memberships, etc. I'm thinking that the first couple of members, Evan, Yorkshire, Liewe, Rick, pretty soon are going to get a different color. I think the next color is green. So this was KLM Flight 644, arrived from New York JFK. Flight time 6 hours and 20 minutes. The 777-200ER, 16 years old in total. First flight April 2007. Now back to a couple of narrow bodies. Before that, a double 10-month membership celebration. First of all, by Mr. Sunshine himself, Mr. Master, and oh, sorry, and also, of course, Liewe, who says time flies when you're having none. Well, definitely that is something that is true. Folks, thank you so much for your continued support, you two. Very much appreciate it, and not only the membership, but also everything you guys have been doing over the last months for the channel as a valued moderator, keeping the chat friendly and accessible to all. Thank you so much, Liewe and Rick. Now, let's see. Our next airplane is KLM Flight 1954. That's the airplane that we saw in the background. earlier from the right, flying to the west. Arrival from Zurich, Embraer 190. The airplane is 15 years old. The first flight was in October 2008. Let's see, Air Malta is coming after this. EasyJet A319 after that. I think there's a butt shot in the making. Air Malta up next. Flight 394 arrival from Malta. All white airplane. This one coming in, flown by Avion Express Malta. 16-year-old airplane, first flight January 2008. Also a very big thank you to Josephine, who sends sunshine from Sweden. No more swimming pool over there. I'm very happy for you. Over here it is still a bit damp. Definitely the ground is still very much satiated with all the rainfall that we've had over the last couple of months. I'm sure with the sunshine that you and Rick have sent from the north, we should be good over here pretty soon. Thank you so much, Josephine. And our next airplane is an A319 EasyJet arriving from Birmingham, flight 27850, flight time 45 minutes, 14-year-old airplane, first flight October 2009. And Evan says, I heard someone talking about me. I hope it's nice. It's definitely nice. It was to reiterate that you are one of the longest members of the channel already, and that you and Rick and Liewe probably are going to change colors soon. And I believe that the next color is going to be green. I see that Alan also has returned into the chat. Good morning, mate. Hope all is well. Ulu. It's the, oh no, it's not the Lu, it's the LQU. Did not see that little stripe on the Q. I thought it was an O. Next up, Croatia Airlines in the Star Alliance livery, flight 450, A320, arrival from Zagreb. And the next airplane behind it is an EasyJet A319 arriving from London Gatwick. And Richard is standing behind me. Awesome. Running a bit behind on the chat. Goedemorgen, kerel. Wat zei je, hè? Zonnig Rotterdam, precies. Sunshine from the north and from the south coming my way. Well, speaking of the south, Not sure if it is sunny in Rotterdam right now, looking to the south. But you are always the sunshine wherever you go, right? Always. Leuk man.
Ja, ik denk dat we jou een keer opzoeken.
Leuk man.
Ik zat te kijken naar jou.
Ja.
Je weet het ook wel. Je zegt altijd dat je een beetje... Ik ben die zeiker nog, weet je wel, van die Egypte vliegt.
Ja.
Maar wij komen uit Spijkenissen, dus best wel een eind rijden.
Dat is zeker een eind rijden.
Dus ja, ik denk, laten we een keer kijken, joh.
Leuk man. Heb je files onderweg gehad of kon je gewoon doorrijden?
Gewoon doorrijden.
Lekker. Ja, dit is...
Dat zie je niet opstijgen, dat vind ik leuker dan landen, maar
Ja, nou ja, misschien dat dat binnenkort wel weer gaat gebeuren, wat meer als de wind misschien gaat draaien. Maar weet je, als de wind uit het zuiden komt of uit het zuidwesten, is het hier gewoon altijd landen. Dat is gewoon zo.
Ja, dat is leuk om weer even te zien zo.
Zeker. Nou, leuk om ook een gezicht bij de naam te hebben. Richard Moose, the one and only, and now standing in real life behind me. Well, stood behind me. Now he's walking back with, I think, his son and the dog. Right, Alan says that my AMS Live cap arrived last week and it's great, many thanks. Well, I'm happy that you're happy about it. I'm still wearing mine day in, day out, each time I go out streaming. There's something that cannot be avoided is that it discolors a little bit over time as it gets increasingly subjected to UV radiation. So this was a black cap that I initially had. It is turning a little bit more brownish yellowish, but I think that's something that you see over time with all caps of all brands and makings. This is TUI flight 391. Returning from Curaçao, Willemstad. Having arrived after having flown 8 hours and 23 minutes, a 9-year-old airplane, first flight January 2015. Right, ladies and gentlemen, members, get out your play emojis. It is that time again. A321neo today coming from Reykjavik. It is play flight 460. Now let me also quickly put a battery in one of my heated gloves and put that on my left hand. Mentioned it before. Get cold hands quite easily, even when it's relatively warm. It is relatively warm, but not enough for my left hand apparently. Got that sorted. Here we go. And it's an A321neo. Producing cables like the Pegasus did before it. Beautiful to see. Had I known this, I would have waited with posting that compilation I made yesterday because we have more editions after today. And good morning, Sarah. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Welcome back. All other viewers who have joined in the meantime or might have joined in the meantime, good morning to you too. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. This is the Polderbaan. The vehicles that you see in the foreground are there because they are dredging the canal, making it deeper. Weren't able to finish the job last week, so they will have to continue next week. That's why the excavators are parked over here. They're spaced out in such a way that it's hard to find a location that is still adequate for arriving traffic and also not to see these vehicles in between. Got a couple of interesting airplanes coming this way. Our next airplane to arrive is an A319 from British Airways, arriving from London Heathrow. And the TAROM 737-700 is following behind it. Let's do another rundown of the current status quo. Let's first have a look at the airplanes that are coming this way. KLM Orange Pride is coming back. Arriving from the west, near certainly is going to land on the Pottebaan, the runway we are standing next to. Expected around 12:37 local time still. The time you can see in the bottom left corner, the local time. We're also expecting obviously the Emirates A380 from Dubai a bit sooner, 12:18 expected. We have a Saudia 747 that is expected around 12 minutes past 12. And what is going to be my last airplane for today is going to be this airplane, China Airlines Cargo A747, arriving around 1 o'clock. Got some more heavies coming in, but these are all later in the afternoon. I'm going to stick around until at least this one has landed. Over here in, I believe, Malaga, we also have the Transavia A321neo, which is now off the radar but will return to Amsterdam later in the morning, and I'm expecting it to have landed before 1 o'clock. Not entirely sure, but probably will be back before then, so we might also pick up on that one as well. Speedbird flight 430 having arrived from London Heathrow. A319, flight time 38 minutes. 19-year-old airplane, first flight March 2004. And a little butt shot in the making. Now, the TAROM 737-700 that is up next is going to be in the SkyTeam livery. There's also an airplane behind it already visible. That's Air Canada Flight 808. That's a dreamliner, and another dreamliner will be following it from KLM, arriving from Cartagena. Now, we were still busy with the briefing. Let's do a refresh of the METAR, the current weather. Let me also copy paste that into the ticker for you guys in a moment. Wind is blowing from the west mostly. Sub 5 knots, it's 4 knots, 204, few clouds at 800 feet. The air temperature is 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit approximately. Relatively high pressure. Runway usage, let's refresh. We're standing over here next to the Pottebaan, which is currently still the only runway being used for arrivals. Departures take place from the still open Kaagbaan and Aalsmeerbaan. This runway is going to close as of Monday and is expected to remain closed until somewhere in April, shortly before King's Day. I think it's going to reopen, so might have some consequences for runway usage in the coming 2 or so months. Not sure yet how much it is going to give opportunities to spot at different runways. I think the center runway is going to see more action, which might make it a location to also go spotting in the coming months, as also was the case earlier last year, when one of the other runways was temporarily closed due to maintenance, and the northern threshold of center was a beehive of activity. Hoping the same might happen in the coming period. We'll see. Right, back to the north. Air Canada Flight 808 up next. Has the bank rubber look, or the raccoon look, whatever you would like to call it. Sunglasses. It's a Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner arriving from Toronto, Canada, where this airplane departed from 6 hours and 25 minutes ago. This airplane is 6 years old. The first flight was in October 2017. Now, because of, well, I'm not sure if it's because of the activity in the water, but bird life in the water, non-existent. Then again, it was also later in the stream that last Thursday we got to see the coots and that one grebe that we did finally see. Right now, looking, oh wait, there is maybe, yeah, there is something over there. I think that might be a coot. But I'm not too sure. I haven't seen the crow family members just yet, although I do see some activity of blackbirds in the field looking left of me. This is KLM flight 741 arriving from Cartagena, 78710 Dreamliner. To all viewers who have joined in the meantime. I see Goosey also back in the chat. Good to see you, Goosey. Hope all is well. And the bird control, well, not pickup truck, but van is coming this way. So we are going to be able to see in a bit more detail what it looks like. There's a bird on the front and also behind the windows on the sides. H1. Also bird control vehicle. Hey, and is that the police now over there, or no, that's just one of the visitors on that side that has parked their car there. Right, in the meantime, good morning. H1 bird control. VW transporter. Question mark, it is a VW. If it's a transporter or not, I'll leave that up to the experts. Then he asks, are you allowed to park there? Do you mean on the other side where you saw that car parked just now? Officially, the answer is no. If you look on Google Maps, on Street View, you will see that there are signs over there that it's not allowed to park. Not even sure if it's allowed to stand still there, if it's a stripe or a cross, but it definitely is prohibited to park over there. Does that mean that people don't do it regardless? Of course it does. Ah, and Peter confirming it is a transporter that we saw. So, walking back earlier on Thursday, I saw that those excavators basically make the soil in the canal loose, and this barge slowly scrapes it up. So the barge scrapes it up, and the excavators are also digging it up again. So I'm thinking, one is doing a bit of pre-work, the barge scoops it up, then the other excavator clears the cargo unit that the barge is pushing ahead. Right. Captain Ween has made promotion to the Dreamliner fleet. That was quite a nice landing. Hearing airplanes pass overhead, but unfortunately the cloud deck is still continuous, so airplanes having taken off from runway 24, we can hear them but not see them, unfortunately. It does look like a bit more openness over there if you look to the east and a bit further in the distance. Next up is a 737-900 arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle, KLM flight 1228. Flight time 43 minutes. I have to do my math because I don't see the flight time anymore. The label I pressed on too late. Can still see the airplane age, 22 years old, first flight October 2001. KLM style landing, keeping up the speed, vacate late, sooner to the gate. Now, as I said before, I did see and still see some Crow family members, I think, over there in the field. They're having a field day today. Sally and Steven Seagull I haven't seen yet. It has been quite quiet over here, to be honest. Also in terms of humans, well, Martin was of course here earlier. Richard, Richard, the other guy from Rotterdam. There's also someone over there filming apparently. Two blokes sitting over there, camping seats, chilling and relaxing. Nice way to spend a Saturday morning. Now, I've got a little narrow body entree first, and then a big bird is coming in. The entree is KLM flight 986, an Embraer 190 arriving from London City. Behind it is a Qatar Dreamliner arriving from Doha, and behind it is going to be, are we able to see it yet? Yeah, we are. 8 o'clock of the Qatar Dreamliner is an ITA A320 Neo arriving from Rome. Meanwhile, a very good morning to everybody who has joined in the meantime. You're watching Amos Live. My name is Boy. This is the polar-bound runway 1 ride. At the moment, the only runway being used for arrivals. What wind there is blowing from the west, but it is sub 5 knot wind or 2 Beaufort, nearly wind still. You can also see it in the background, the windmills hardly spinning. Today we have a couple of visual nuisances in the foreground between us and the airplanes. Excavators being used to dig out the bottom of the canal over here. So that the crocodiles guarding the fort have more breathing space and space to live in. Hey, Avi, also in the chat. Guten Morgen, Avi. Herzlich willkommen. Und alle andere deutsch sprechende Freunde, herzlich willkommen auch Ihnen. This is Qatar flight 275, arriving from Doha, Boeing 7878 Dreamliner. The airplane is 10 years old. The first flight was in February 2014. And QJ says, I thought it was a hippo. Well, I'm not sure if the hippopotamus still lives here. Crocodiles still do. The piranhas as well. I thought the Hippo was also applying for different airfields and different canals to live in. Not sure if other airfields have already responded. I haven't seen him in a while, so actually don't know for sure if he's still around or not. Mrs. Professor asks, is it true that a flight from AMS to Detroit Friday had to return because of an insect problem? Well, I'm not sure if maggots are insects. Or was that the other flight? Now I'm confused. I think there were two flights. And one of them had maggots coming from the overhead bins. Because somebody took rotten fish or rotten food along with them. Who in there? What the F are you thinking doing that? Okay, well, Alan confirming that there are no more hippos over here. The sharks ate them. Forgot about the sharks. Somehow I always tend to forget or put away the memory of them. Suppress the memory. ITA Airways A320neo flight 108 having arrived from Rome, and even when it is cloudy, that blue brightens up your day. First flight May 2023, less than a year old. Hey Tiger, good morning. Good to see you again. Herzlich willkommen. Hope all is well, Tiger. Our next airplane, KLM Flight 1926, arriving from Geneva, 737-700, flight time 1 hour 8 minutes. The airplane has been flying for 12 years now. First flight was in May 2011. Did not see anything immediately behind it. Let's see. The next airplane behind it is interesting. Aeromexico Flight 25, arriving from Mexico City. 787-8 Dreamliner. Stubby fuselage and a big ass tail. Morning Max, who is watching from California. More West Coast representatives over here. Good to see you tuning in. Hope you're liking the show. And I hope that goes for everybody. If you are liking what you're seeing and you haven't done so already, don't forget to drop a like. It makes this content more easily available to other aviation enthusiasts such as yourselves, who might also enjoy content such as this. Aeromexico Flight 25 in the foreground, Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner arriving from Mexico City, flight time 9 hours and 35 minutes. The airplane 9 years old, first flight February 2014. In the background behind it is a triple from Emirates Sky Cargo arriving from Aguadilla. First up, Aeromexico Flight 25. Seems that the relative humidity is decreasing ever so slowly. Not as many vortices anymore as we saw in the beginning. Top foil wing fluff also, unfortunately, a thing of the past. Hey Daniel, goedemorgen. Daniel asks if I'm going to visit the aviation fair tomorrow. I don't have any plans for that yet. In fact, I had forgotten about it. Isn't that in the Van der Valk Hotel next to the bridge restaurant of the A4 highway? Thought I heard something. Hey. For a minute there I did see a few vortices emanating from the tips of the flaps. Ah, well, interesting how you see those phenomena from one airplane to the other. One has it, the other doesn't. Also find it interesting that those vortices you see are really pronounced when you look at the A321neo, and makes me wonder, those vortices are indicative of drag, and you would think that a new airplane such as the A321 has less drag and is more aerodynamically optimized than older airplane types would be, yet you see those vortices emanating from the flap tips very pronounced with the A321neos. Makes me wonder, is that a design flaw, and is that something that they also had to, or have room for potential to further optimize that? Anyway. Now Kailash is asking an interesting question. Where can you spot airplanes that depart? Well, the most prevailing wind direction over here is from the southwest, or from the west, or from the south, which makes the current runway configuration the most frequently used. Now, as of Monday, runway 24, the Kaagbaan, is going to close, but normally speaking, if it wasn't closed, then that would be the location where departures take place from the most with the prevailing wind direction. If we have wind from the north, however, then you would see that this runway, the Polderbaan, would be used for departures the most. However, the prevailing wind often blows from the southwest or west or south. So Kaagbaan runway 24 is then used the most, together with 18 left. Which QJ also nicely answered already. This is DHL A306, arriving from London Heathrow. ...44 minutes of flight time. And this airplane is 30 years old already, ladies and gentlemen. The first flight of this airplane was in 1994, back in February. Some of you were not even born yet then. Now, on Saturdays we often see two bananas come in. The other one arriving from Madrid. This is not it yet, obviously. This is KLM flight 767, an Airbus A330-300 arriving from Bonaire. Drew says this is the best excavator aircraft channel on YouTube. Yeah, well, the excavators you get for free today. That's a very good question, Alan. How many miles will the banana have on the odometer in the meantime? How many millions of miles will it have flown in those 40, 50, 40 odd years? Nearly 40. Right. The number 2 is going to be another ITA Airways A320 in the beautiful Azzurro, arriving from Milan. We already had the one coming in from Rome. Doing a little bit of scrolling around on Flight Radar, not seeing the second banana just yet, but thinking it is still coming. Before the A320 from ITA is landing, a KLM 737-800 will be arriving first. KLM flight 1002. It's one of the many flights between London Heathrow and Amsterdam. The flight time for this particular flight, 38 minutes, par for the course, almost 40 minutes. That is your average flight time between London and Amsterdam, 35 to 40 minutes, depending on wind and traffic, of course. The airplane, 13 years old. The first flight was in November 2010. Let's have a peek in the cockpit. Not much going on, except pilots working. Well, if you listen closely, you will hear a lot of birds chirping. That's not the bird controller, who is on the other side. I do see, still seeing Sally and Steven Seagal. Now let's have a look at the second ITA Airways, beautiful Azzurro A320. The other one was a Neo. This is a regular A320, flight 120, arriving from Milan. Flight time 1 hour and what is it, 26 minutes. And Yillard says that the second yellow banana is expected to land in 3 minutes, so there you go. If you haven't supplemented your potassium intake today yet, you will be able to do so in a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, more people are arriving on the scene. I was also hearing something, but that is someone who is running. Also another runner coming this way in a yellow vest, and people, small children, young parents, and further in the background there's the fence. You can also see people stand over there. That is the parking space of the official Spottersplaats. Also where I've parked my car and from which spot I have walked over here and always do. The first CRJ of the day, SAS flight 557, arriving from Stockholm. Having flown 1 hour and what is it, 46 minutes. Have to do math here. Look at the time it departed and the current time. It's a CRJ 900ER, 15 years old. The first flight was in December 2008. see that Johanna and Ralph have also joined. Good morning, folks. Goedemorgen. Hope you're both doing well. And I hope everybody who has joined us in the meantime is also doing well. QJ says 18C is open. And Nicholas also present. Hey boy, happy to join you with my coffee. Donna has taken the boys to football. Why does that remind me of that meme of Brexit geezer? Take George to football. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube and Google Brexit geezer. And after that, if you're finished watching that, watch then Google or YouTube Day in the Life of a True Aussie Bloke. Makes Brexit geezer look posh. Good to see you, Nicholas. Hope Donna is also doing well. And the banana is turning base. Ryan is saying, great, well, we'll be ready for her. Our next airplane is from EasyJet, flight 29167. Arriving from Manchester. That is, what is it? Nearly an hour of flight time. 8-year-old airplane, first flight October 2015. Also hearing a siren. Is that the ambulance over there? No. Was hearing an emergency vehicle with the siren. Right. I also see that Ewald is back in the chat. Goedemorgen Ewald, good to see you and thank you for welcoming me back. Our next airplane is Transavia flight 6610. Coming back from a destination I'm not unfamiliar with, and many of you probably either. Innsbruck in beautiful Tyrol. 737-800, flight time 1 hour 17 minutes. The airplane itself is 23 years old already. The first flight of this airplane was in April of the year 2000. You will also hear the calming sound of this man-made waterfall that I'm standing almost immediately opposed. Hey Jens, good morning, good morgen. And Austrian Wolf asks if I flew the west approach in Innsbruck. From the east to the west, yeah. So over the city first, then landed to the east, to the west. Also took the same route back on my way back to the Netherlands. So we took off to the east, climbed out over the city, then back over Munich more or less, Welling, flight 8365, having arrived from Malaga. And banana number 2 is up next, the one arriving from Madrid, an A300-600. Flight time from Madrid to where this airplane is right now has been 2 hours and 18 minutes thus far. The airplane is 33 years old, older than the other one. This one began flying in January 1991. January 1991, folks. So I was 9 years old myself, I think. Yeah. 9.5 or so. Almost 9.5. And I did have a good Urlaub, Gerrit. Lots of sunshine almost throughout the week. Only the last skiing day on Friday and the return day on Saturday it was cloudy and snowy. Wasn't cold, even on the day that it snowed. It was still half rain, half snow in the lower parts. Only when you got higher did it actually fall as snow. So snow conditions were suboptimal. It was a bit slushy, a bit bumpy. More reminding me of the end of the season, end May, end March, beginning of April. But that's okay, because in that week of skiing I saw the sun more than I have in the Netherlands since 2024 began, so very thankful for that. But it was definitely more technical skiing required. And I did see a lot of emergency services and a helicopter as well a couple of times during that week. Several times a day on, I think, almost all days. Now luckily I've learned how to ski when I also learned how to ride my bike, so it comes natural to me, don't have to think about it. So it was just a bit additionally fatiguing, but luckily in good condition, or at least I'd like to think I am. In the meantime, I see that I have to update the ticker. Why is that? Traffic now also coming to runway center. Parallel arrivals in progress. So either 18 left or runway 24 is now the only runway being used for arrivals. Will the LVNL website already show it? Question mark. Probably not. No, that is always running behind a little bit, so I will have another look in a couple of minutes. Now, where to point the camera to? We have an Embraer 190 landing over here. We have a big triple that is landing on the other runway. Oh, and I see that it is leaving some vortices behind as well. I think I'm going to switch to the triple arriving from Cape Town. Are the vortices visible, or they were visible earlier? Now it's just a wing fluff. Wing fluff is visible quite nicely. Duo shot. Right, well, I'm going to follow the next airplane landing on Polderbaan once again, but saw this big burn. Oh, and I think we also have our answer. Runway 18 left is probably now the only runway being used for departures. If I'd have to guess. Alrighty, let me return to the north. Next up is an EasyJet A320 Neo arriving from Milan. Again, a little bit of curving clouds behind it. It's not very clear, you can see it, but it's subtle. A320 arriving from Milan, flight time 1 hour and 27 minutes. 4-year-old airplane, first flight October 2019.
De airline in stream of niet?
Ja.
Waar kan ik je volgen?
AMS Live, dat ben ik.
Kijken?
Zeker.
Vet man.
AMS Live, dat ben ik.
Oh echt? Oh, te gek.
Ja.
Oh, leuk man.
Wat is jouw naam?
Gerard.
Gerard.
Ja. AMS Live. Oh.
Ja, dat is de microfoon, hè. En de delay, we horen meteen de delay. People in the chat also saying hi Gerard. Leuk man. Hey, fijne dag man. Dank je. Right, another A320neo up next. Let's also have another look at the runway usage. I think it's near certain. Well, I'm going to go ahead and change that regardless. Let's have another look at the weather. Oh, we have a ceiling now at 4,800 feet. The rest is more or less unchanged. Copy paste. Let me also update that in a minute. And another EasyJet coming in. In the meantime, I'm pasting the latest METAR in the ticker for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and at least go to a configuration with 18C also being used for arrivals. The question is runway 24 still open? Not exactly sure. Probably not. Probably just 18 left now. This is EasyJet flight 27866 having arrived from Geneva, I should say. It has landed already. After a flight of 1 hour and 15 minutes, the airplane is 1 year old. The first flight was in December 2022. Got another JetBlue A321 Neo coming this way, the number 2, being preceded by a Transavia airplane that is rented out to KLM and is flying as KLM flight 1422, returning from Birmingham, 737-800. That's the first airplane to arrive, flight time 41 minutes, 21-year-old airplane, the first flight June 2002. Parallel arrivals were very much in progress right now. Let's see, Air France Embraer 170, the Air France Up is also coming this way. The number 2 right now to Polderban, the runway we are standing next to, is the JetBlue A321 Neo. That also showed significant flap tip vortices last Thursday. So if there's one airplane capable of producing them, it is the A321 Neo. That is now the number 2. We'll be curious to see if we're still able to see them. Temperature hasn't gone up that much, but maybe the humidity that was in the air earlier in the morning has been blown away a little bit. I do feel a little bit more of a breeze in my neck right now compared with the beginning of the stream. Then again, still nothing to write home about. And there's the Air France Up going to runway center. Indicative of a bit more wind is that the water is no longer an exact mirror but a near mirror. That yellow orb called the sun, that mythical creature in the sky, I think is over there. Got another airplane coming in for runway center, and here we can see the vortices that I also saw on that triple earlier. So you really need to look a bit further to the north to see them on that airplane. Now this is where the A321 would still have had vortices, and they are still there a little bit, but not as pronounced as they were on Thursday. For some reason also seems a bit less contrasty than Thursday. It's a bit more bright now, has to be said. JetBlue having arrived from Boston, Massachusetts. A321neo long haul flight on a narrow body airplane. And a little butt shot. And Richard asks if Polderbaan will open for departures. No, they won't. They will continue to be used for it will be continued to be used for landings. The wind direction hasn't changed, so airplanes have to come in from north to south to this runway, and from Polderbaan it's not allowed to take off to the south, I believe, just to the north. So unless the wind direction changes and is going to blow from the north, which I don't think is going to happen today or in any of the upcoming days, Polderbaan will continue to be used for arrivals. Unfortunately, Richard. This is an E2 Embraer 195 returning from Dublin, Ireland, KLM flight 934. Let's see, and it is now 11:15. So if you just joined us, welcome to the show. You're watching MS Live. My name is Boy. This is the Polderbaan runway 18 ride. At the moment, one of the two runways being used for arrivals. What wind there is blowing from the west. Handful of knots. Well, no, less than a handful of knots, I should say. Still. There are a couple of big birds coming. I believe that the majority is expected between 12 and 1. Couple of 747s, the Emirates A380. Let's have another look and see what is cooking. In terms of runway usage, has LVNL updated their website? Not yet. No matter. Right, so we can see that the Transavia A321neo is back on its way to Amsterdam. Okay, we're going to miss that one. Expected around 1:40. My last airplane for today is going to be this one. Expected around 1 p.m. China Airlines cargo arriving from Mumbai, I should say. Sorry. This is one of the other airplanes that we are expecting, and that is expected in 1 hour and 5 minutes from now. Not far behind it is, well, no, leading in fact 5 minutes. 747 arriving from Jeddah. Also coming back from Sao Paulo is the KLM Orange Pride, expected in 1 hour and 20 minutes from now. These are all airplanes that are expected later in the day. This one too, expected 2 p.m. These are even later. The 747s today are arriving late. put in an A350. Right, let's see, the next airplane to come to Polderbaan is A737-800 from KLM. In fact, there are two back-to-back. There's an A321neo arriving from Athens from Aegean, coming to the center runway. A330neo from Delta arriving from Salt Lake City is flying off the coast to the north on the downwind leg for Polderbaan presumably. Iberia Express A320 is also coming this way, arriving from Madrid. You might also pick up on some explosives from the bird controller. That's happening behind me. Well, no, I thought I saw the vehicle, but apparently not. Let's see. Well, runway 24 is still being used by the looks of it. Question is, are they also using 18 left then? Or is it just runway 24? Not seeing any traffic on flight radar going to runway 18 left. Is that then the runway that they closed down? Not sure. Next up, another 737-800 arriving from Manchester. KLM flight 1072. Quite a lot of birds chirping over here. Seems to be coming from this direction. I'm not seeing them. Probably hiding in the grass somewhere. Sounds very spring-like with all the birds chirping. Now, if only Rick would send some of that sunshine from the north of the country over here. But it seems to be very slow today. Now, this is Iberia Express up next, flight 3722, A320, arriving from Madrid. Flight time, no, not an hour, 2 hours and what is it, 18 minutes. The airplane is 10 years old. The first flight was in September 2013. And Wolfgang, I see you're still in the chat. I thought you were so busy and only had an opportunity to join on Sundays. Not that I'm complaining that you're here, on the contrary. Happily surprised to see you're still in the chat. Now, let's see. One more 737 and then it is a big bird coming in. The 737 is a 900 arriving from Brussels. There should be an airplane behind it, but I think we had better visibility earlier in the morning when we were able to see 3 airplanes at some point in time. Anyway, this is KLM flight 1724 arriving from Brussels, 737-900, flight time a measly 29 minutes. The airplane 22 years old, first flight August 2001. I'm just so curious to see how full would this airplane be. And would the travelers, if they travel from door to door, would they really be faster using the airplane for such a small distance instead of using a car or something? Let's see, and I'm going to mispronounce that probably. Azuqueca Television says hello from Madrid. Hola, amigo. Welcome to the show. Julian says, love your stream, bro. Thank you so much, Julian. I hope you guys are all enjoying what you're seeing. That's the most important thing. This is Delta Airlines flight 56, arriving from Salt Lake City. It's an A330neo, having flown a lot of hours. The exact flight time I was no longer able to see, and calculating it when it goes through so many time zones, I'm not going to burn my hands on that, as we would say in Dutch, which is probably a strange figure of speech. That's good to hear, Wolfgang. I always knew you were a productive bastard, working faster than scheduled. Good on you, mate. Make sure you also unwind a little bit if you're so busy. Right, our next airplane is an A320neo arriving from Liverpool. EasyJet flight 23441. Flight time 58 minutes. This particular airplane, 5 years old, first flight June 2018. You can see the windmill in the background spinning a little bit faster than they were doing in the beginning. Not windy by any means, but wind is picking up a little bit, but that's typical. It's something you see everywhere. As the temperature increases, the wind also starts blowing a bit faster during the day. So we are in awaitance of the Orange Pride and the Boeing 747 from Saudia, China Cargo Airlines, if I remembered correctly, and of course the daily Emirates A388. All expected before 1 p.m. local time. If you look in the bottom left corner, you will see the local time. So we are still going to be streaming for another 1.5 hours from now. Well, thank you for your kind words there, Wolfgang, who says that AMS Live is the best stress killer. That is very nice to hear back. I hope you guys all find it relaxing watching the stream. And if you are liking what you're seeing and you haven't done so already, don't forget to drop a like. Make sure to subscribe if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams. And also help spread this content to other viewers who might also be interested in contents such as this. Now, where is that? There we go. A couple of geese, I think. Looks like it. In V formation. Makes us missing the landing of an Embraer 190, but it wasn't Captain really. So we haven't missed out on much. KLM A388 having arrived from Edinburgh. Flight time 1 hour and 5 minutes. 8-year-old airplane, first flight December 2015, and a butt shot is in the making. Here we go. While the A330neo in the background is still taxiing back to the main platform area. Canada geese, yeah, it might be. Fleeing away from hunters who want to make goats of them. Okay, now it seems that for the time being it is a bit quiet with respect to inbound airplanes. There is an Embraer 190 arriving from Newcastle on its way. Embraer 190 arriving from Stuttgart on its way. Transavia 737 arriving from Verona coming in. Looking where that latter airplane should be, somewhere in the sky. Can I see it already? It's too cloudy, I think, to see that 737 that is also flying a bit off the coast by the looks of it. Not over the beaches, but a bit further out. Just looking to see if maybe I catch a break and see it, but I don't. So, well, in the meantime, it is getting a bit more busy over here. Still folks on the other side over there. Car parked and whatnot. We can also see the wind a bit better. So visibility towards the chimneys has improved. Not necessarily the glide slope, although looking to the north it does look a bit more open now. You can see over there. Also immediately where the glide slope is. Looks a bit better. Some more folks over there coming this way. Pedestrians, visitors of the Spottersplatz itself in the distance. Motorcyclist, a couple of dogs. As we would say in Dutch, gezellig. Now in the meantime, according to Flight Radar, the next airplane is turning onto the glide slope. I'm not seeing anything just yet, but we should be able to see it over there pretty soon. Gives me a moment to turn back to the computer. And say a big thank you to Marco, who just now gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Marco, and welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those 5 new members. If you are one of the recipients of Marco's gifted memberships, don't forget to thank Marco. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge. Be sure to use the custom emojis that are now at your disposal whenever you see fit. Once again, thank you so much, Marco, for your support. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those new members. And Richard is informing us that the French fries vehicle has just arrived. So that is lunchtime then. Now, big picture wise, it is more or less unchanged. This is approximately where the wind is blowing from, a little bit south of directly from the west. Not seeing any openings coming anytime soon. Also overhead it looks a bit more dense now than it did in the beginning of the stream. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there is a big area of rain expected to come over the Netherlands tomorrow. I'm not sure if more heavy clouds are preceding it. Well, probably they are, but if they are already expected today, I don't know. Over here, looking up, you can still see some lighter parts. Also further out, and also further to the east, you can still see what seem to be openings. Not expecting any sunshine just yet. I still took my vitamin D tablet this morning. Back in the Netherlands, still needed this time of year. The next airplane has arrived, and it is German Airways flying for KLM Embraer 190 KLM flight 958 arriving from Newcastle. A short 50-minute flight. The airplane is 16 years old, just as old as Choc-y. Turned 16 in January of this year and began flying in January 2008. Let's have a look in the cockpit, shall we? I only wave when waved upon, and the first officer initiated the wave, so I did wave back. Now, it is good news that I bring for the members and non-members maybe alike. The return of Choc-y. It's been a while since we last saw this airplane that is coming in next, but very happy to see that it is the Lycifer Chocolaterie Special Livery, the DAPRI, once again returning to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. So, ladies and gentlemen, members, get out your chocolate emoji, custom emoji, because Choc-y is returning. Flying as KLM flight 1868 and returning from Stuttgart, where it left from 59 minutes ago. This is the DAPRI. I was about to say PH, but it has been flying for KLM so long, maybe we should give it a PH registration. The airplane is 16 years old. First flight January 2008, exactly the same age as the KLM Orange Pride that we are also going to see later in the stream. The PHBVA on its way from Sao Paulo and expected later in the stream. I think within the hour, if I'm not mistaken. Now in the digital zoom range, so if the lights look a little bit pixelated, that is the reason. Just happy to see it. And wanted to zoom in a little bit. Let's go back to the optical zoom range. There we go. Now, obviously, we are also going to have a look in the cockpit, see if we might get a wave. The answer is no, but that's okay, because we can see the lovely goodies of the Lucifer chocolatery special livery once again. Cannot recall when the last time was that we saw it before today. It has been weeks ago. I'm wondering if it was even in the previous year that we saw it. The previous calendar year. Probably. Alrighty, now next up is a TUI operated by Air Explorer, and the flight is for Transavia HV5464. Interesting. It also says TUI, it also says operated by Air Explorer. It is an airplane that, according to Flight Radar, is all white and is flying for what seems to be Transavia. Arriving from Verona, flight time 1 hour 36 minutes. 22 years old, this airplane, the first flight November 2001. Hey there, Catherine, good to see you again. Welcome back, I hope all is well. All other viewers who have joined us in the meantime as well, a warm welcome to you all. Happy weekend, happy Saturday, welcome to AMS Live and arrivals at Polderbaan. Game plan for today is to stay until around 1 p.m. local time, which you can see in the bottom left corner of your screen, the local time. Got a few interesting airplanes coming up. The grand finale, I think, is about to begin, more or less. It's not continuously back to back, but there are a couple of nice airplanes coming in. For those of you joining us later and who haven't seen what we are expecting just yet, let me run you down through what is coming. The first airplanes to approach, Saudia 747 is approaching the Dutch border. Not too far behind it, we have the Emirates A380 arriving. The southwestern tip of mainland UK is the KLM Orange Pride, expected in, 55 minutes from now. And the last airplane for today is going to be China Airlines Cargo, the 747-400, expected just past 1 o'clock. There are more 747s underway. The Transavia A321neo is also coming in. These are all expected later in the day, and I am not going to be around for them anymore. Current runway usage, we are standing next to the Polderbaan, somewhere over here. At the moment, the only runway being used for arrivals, so I will have to update the ticker once again. And runways 24 and 18 left are being used for departures. Not much going on in terms of weather. We have temperatures that are approaching double digits Celsius or just below it. That is approximately 50 degrees Fahrenheit or just below. Just a little bit of wind blowing from the west. Handful of knots, if not less. No precipitation expected in the immediate upcoming hours. Overcast conditions mostly. Welcome to the Netherlands, where the weather is always meh. The birds that we heard chirping earlier have also stopped chirping, so I think they have also come to the realization that it is still not yet summer. Let me get rid of that 18C in the ticker. That seems to indicate that parallel arrivals are still in progress. We are once again currently standing next to the only runway being used for arrivals, and that is good news because that is making the likelihood of the Saudia 747 and the Emirates A380 landing on this runway a lot higher, since they are so near the German-Dutch border already. I would be very surprised to see a runway change being implemented between now and their landing. We will be able to see their assigned runway to land pretty soon. Once they enter Dutch airspace, you will typically be able to see that at omgevingsinfo Schiphol.nl. If you guys don't know the website and want to know the URL, drop a comment in the chat, and I'm sure that one of the frequent visitors will be able to drop the URL in the chat for you guys. Very handy website where you can click on airplanes approaching the Netherlands and see what runway they have been assigned to. You have to know which runway is called what, because the runway assignment is given with the colloquial name of the runway and not the number indication. So you need to know that runway 18 right is Polderbound, for instance, and you also need to know the other names of the runways. Website lvnl.nl, which is the Air Traffic Control Netherlands website, gives you that information, so fear not if you don't know them. And I also happened to see, I think Paul found out that they also have an English website, so no need to put everything on that website through Google Translate as well. See that Mr. Jackson is also back in the chat. Good to see you, Michael. Hope all is well. Mrs. Professor says I'm heading off to bed. Didn't sleep well last night. Well, I hope you will sleep better this night then. Thanks for joining, Mrs. Professor, and I hope to catch you on the next one, whenever that may be. Hope you'll sleep better this night. Now, my knowledge of the Cyrillic languages is not perfect, so I do see that your last name is Ivanov, but the first name is Van. I don't know what that reverse R means, but it says intense traffic you have there. Good stream, thanks, welcome, and thanks for your kind words. And Paul Verkloth, also good morning to you, mate. Grietje, goedemorgen. Grietje also confirming what the sunshine of the stream. Rick Meester already confirmed that people in the north of the Netherlands today have more sunshine than we do over here. And thank you, Wolfgang, Vanya Ivanov. Welcome to the show. And all other viewers as well. Bjorn asks about the A380. Don't know for sure if we can tell just yet. It should be near the German-Dutch border pretty soon, so we will know for sure. Ivan. Ah, okay. Austrian Wolf, what were you thinking? Ivan, right, well, now that we've got that sorted, Privet and welcome. We have Icelandair up next. Last Thursday we saw the 757-200, and I'm happy to see that this time they send another of their non-Maxes back with the old livery. A Boeing 767-300, Icelandair Flight 500, arriving from Reykjavik, where it left from 2 hours and 34 minutes ago. I think Icelandair and LATAM Cargo, those are the only 767 frequent visitors we have today. Last year, we did have a 767-400 that flew between Washington and Amsterdam for months on end, I think from United. Well, not sure if I am already on a familiar basis with Ivan that I can call him Vanya. Incoming chirper. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's higher. Just one bird. There it is. Pretty sure that is the culprit making the noise over here. Hey! I spy with my little eye after I heard it reveal its location. Hey, coot! Trying to get onto the mainland or just grabbing a bit to eat. Yeah, that's it. Just grabbing a bit to eat. Hey there, little buddy, what are you doing? Where are your mates, mate? Looking around, not seeing any other birds right now. Right, man-made waterfall, birds chirping, coot swimming. Meanwhile, we have this Embraer 190 landing, KLM flight 1546 arriving from Leeds. Is there more activity in the water in the meantime? The answer is no. Pile of dirt that needs to be excavated. There does seem to be another coot over there. That seems to be the only bird, with the exception of the one coot that we saw over here just now. Which now seems to... oh no, I thought I lost it, but there it is. Are there any of his mates out there? The answer is not by the looks of it. There are more birds very far to the north over there. Now, don't ask me what they are. They are so far to the north. Impossible for me to identify them. I would be very surprised if any of you would be able to identify them with a high degree of certainty. They are that far away. Right. Joel is saying that the Saudia Cargo 747 entered Dutch airspace. I'm expecting it is going to Polderbaan. Has anybody checked and can anybody confirm it? Meanwhile, our next airplane is approaching and it is a big bird. KLM Flight 706 arriving from Rio de Janeiro. It is a 777-200ER that has been flying for 10 hours and 30 minutes to get from Rio to where it is right now. This airplane began flying in 2004 in September, making this airplane now 19 years old. And that is indeed good news, Paul. Thank you so much for looking that up and confirming that the 747 will in fact land on the Polderbaan. Not completely unexpected, but always nice to get it confirmed with certainty. Well, as certain as that website can be, of course. Now, the Emirates A380 is not too far behind it, so the likelihood of us being able to see the A380 on the Polderbaan as well increase by the minute. Doesn't seem to be having all its lights on already. Seems that the light on the right hand side is broken, at least the one on the wing, on the inner part of the wing. Right, let's look and listen. Righty. Our next airplane, EasyJet flight 22161 A320 arriving from Manchester. How many airplanes from EasyJet arriving from Manchester have we seen in the stream already? Is this the third or fourth one? Right, there are a couple of airplanes approaching the glide slope further north from both the west and the east. But we aren't going to get glide slope shots of several airplanes just yet. Just the one for the time being. There's another Pegasus A321neo arriving from Istanbul, arriving from the east, and there's a 787-10 Dreamliner arriving from Atlanta from KLM, approaching from the west. Right, the next airplane is going to be the A321neo arriving from Istanbul from Pegasus. You can see that the wind is not significant, but is moving a little bit away from us. Being from the west-southwest, approximately. In the meantime, the A380 is also approaching Schiphol Airport. It is getting a bit more busy over here with visitors. This is looking to the north of me, but also looking back to the parking place of the official Spottersplaats. You can see people walking up the road and also zooming into the fenced area in the background where the car park of the Spottersplaats officially is. Also a lot of people watching. Hey Richard, ben jij daar ook nog steeds? Did you already have some French fries from the truck that has arrived in the meantime?
Yes.
Mooi. Right, so the two airplanes visible right now, the A321neo from Pegasus, and behind it is the 787-10 Dreamliner from KLM arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. Further to the north, oh yeah, just below the number 2 right now at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock now, turning onto the glide slope is KLM flight 1598 737-800 arriving back from Rome. We also have an Air Arabia Maroc A320 arriving from Tangier. That is going to be the number 4. Will be arriving from the left hand side. Not sure if we are able to see it just yet. What we can see is Vortices. So let's have a closer look at that A321 once again. If it looks a bit pixelated, that is because I'm now using additional digital zoom to get the footage as close as is still acceptable quality wise. Bouncy, bouncy. Hard to see in the cockpit with those sunglasses. And thank you for confirming that the A380 also is coming to the Polderbaan. Queen and King both expected for the runway we are standing next to, ladies and gentlemen. That is very good news. So in the upcoming hour, 2 747s, 1 A380 and 1 777 Orange Pride are coming in. Final hour of the stream. This is KLM flight 622 arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. 787-10 Dreamliner. Right, SAS CRJ. You can hear it, but no longer see it because of the cloud base in between. SAS flight 558. No, that's the outbound plane. Label overlap. Here we go, KLM flight 1598 up next, arriving from Rome, 737-800, Flight time 1 hour and 58 minutes. 4-year-old airplane, first flight December 2019, and behind it is the Air Arabia Maroc A320 arriving from Tangier. Right. Next up, Air Arabia, operated by Air Arabia Maroc, flight 127 A320, arriving from Tangier, Morocco. Flight time 3 hours and 12 minutes. The airplane is 11 years old. The first flight May 2012. And Gerrit asks if something special is bound to happen. Not necessarily, Gerrit, but it is a weekend day. Part of the Netherlands also have school holidays, and well, it's decent weather for Dutch frame of reference. And the A380 is coming, so that always draws in crowds, particularly on weekend days. So I think that has to do with it. What you often see is that a crowd gradually gathers before the A380 arrives, and pretty soon after it has landed, regardless of the runway, people are also going away again. Though not at the parking place itself, that's always a beehive of activity on weekend days, particularly if it is sunny. But I think this is just a combination of decent weather, the A380, holidays, the weekend. And truth be told, it's not exceedingly busy over here. I mean, there are a few people over here, a few pedestrians further back. Definitely people over there at the Spottersplatz. At least from this angle it looks rather busy. And of course, people on the move to the touchdown zone of the airplanes. Right. Let's see, this is KLM flight 1534, Embraer 175, arriving from Darlington or Teesside. The airplane is 6 years old. Gluren bij de buren. Have a look in the cockpit. See what the neighbors are doing. What's cooking in their kitchen. Hey Danny, goedemiddag. Apologies if I'm still coughing every now and then. Still clearing a cold infection. Have cleared it mostly. Another 3 airplane glide slope shot. And what are the 3 airplanes we are looking at? Well, 2 E2 Embraer 195 to begin with. KLM flight 1780 arriving from Hamburg. Big ass engines. No winglets. That's the E2 for you. The airplane 2 years old. First flight April 2021. That's a no reverser landing. The slots stay closed. Spoke too soon. That's something that we also saw on Thursday, and I still don't know why they're doing that. Why are they opening up those slots so late? Normally they arm it and they go open, or no, that's the spoilers that they arm, but they almost immediately pull the lever after having touched down to get the reversers going if they do intend to use them. So I'm a bit baffled why they would open up the slots so late. If they've slowed down already so much, would it really do that much in that stage of the landing? Anyway, KLM flight 1188 up next, Embraer 190 returning from Bergen. Flight time an hour and what is it, 1.5, well, almost 1.5 hours. 13 years old, first flight March 2010. And the Transavia arriving from Barcelona will be following it next. Now here they open the slots relatively soon. Even if it is an idle reverse landing, you do bleed off some of the thrust. But there it makes sense when you still have a lot of speed if you wish to slow down. That E2 was almost ready to vacate and was already slowed down significantly. Alrighty, Transavia up next, the trash TRA8H on flight radar or HV5132, arriving from Barcelona, where it left from 2 hours and 3 minutes ago. 6-year-old airplane, first flight March 2017. Further to the north, I was about to say, I can see that the Queen of Saudi is approaching the glide slope, and we can see it only slightly over there, happening in the background. In between it and us are still an Embraer 190 from BA and an A320 from EasyJet. Let's see. 3 airplane glide slope shots. In the foreground, Embraer 190 BA City Flyer, flight 8489, arriving from London City, flight time 43 minutes. 15-year-old airplane, first flight January 2009. In the middle we have Shamrock, flight 604, returning from Dublin, Ireland, A320, flight time 1 hour and 5 minutes. 18-year-old airplane. And then we have Saudia, the Boeing 747-400, number 10 worldwide, most tracked on flight radar by 252 people. Surely we can get it into the top 5, right? And I see that the bird controller van has been replaced by one of the Raptor Rangers. K3 this time round. Clouds in between. Funny how we were able to see the 747 better earlier. And Wietse, if the weather is decent enough, my plan is to go live on Monday indeed. Not sure if I am able to go out tomorrow. Not sure yet the extent of the rain expected for tomorrow and the time it is expected to fall. If it's going to be in the morning or in the afternoon or all day. Also not too sure about Monday yet, but I am available to go out on a Monday if the weather will allow me to. So that's definitely the plan for Monday. Right, let's turn back. Here she is, Saudia Cargo, Boeing 747 Flight 933, the number 7 worldwide, tracked by 348 people, arriving from Jeddah. 5 hours and 52 minutes underway on this particular flight, and this airplane has been flying since January 1995, ladies and gentlemen, making it 29 years old. Let's look and listen. Even though my nose is a bit runny, I can still smell the jet fuel. Wasn't the loudest of landings, but definitely a nice one. Hope you liked it. There's another 747 coming. We have the KLM Orange Pride also still coming. And the next of the quad squad is going to be the Emirates A388. Also having been confirmed to land on the Polderbaan, the runway we are standing next to. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. The second 747 that we are still expecting, there are more on the way, but the one I'm sticking around for and the last airplane for today's show is going to arrive just past 1 p.m. local time. So another 45 minutes of streaming up ahead of us. In the meantime, more air traffic is coming from behind. I was hoping we would be able to see the flaps retract fully before turning back the camera to the north. I'm not sure. Wow, what is coming on the Dolu jet? And there they go. Flaps retracting rather quickly. That is an all-white Anadolu jet Airbus. Ghost jet for the butt shot. Meanwhile, couple of entrees, narrow bodies, and somewhere further to the north the A380 is turning onto the glide slope. The question is, can we see that taking place? I would have to look on my laptop screen. Nah, seems that the clouds are too much in the way for us to see. Visibility to the north goes with ups and downs today. There were moments where we were able to see the airplanes really far ahead, and now it seems like visibility has reduced a little bit. Let's see, this is a KLM Embraer 175 arriving from Newcastle. KLM flight 982. Let's see that Captain Edibos is also back in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Good evening. Hope all is well. The next airplane to arrive is another Embraer 175 KLM flight 1060 arriving from Cardiff. Where is it? Yeah, Cardiff. Also a massive big thank you to Flores for 4 months of membership already. Lovely. Thank you for your continued support, mate. Hope you still like it in the lounge. I hope you're still liking the content as well. That's the most important thing. It's getting busy over here. Let me show you in a minute after this airplane has touched down how much more busy it has become. The pre-A380 peak. And also watch how quickly the folks are going to go away again after the airplane has landed. Or at least that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. There's even someone whistling, if you might hear that. So it's getting a bit busy over here. Folks all over, parking here and there, setting up shop. Same on the other side, people over there on the bench, people over there standing, and the people leaning against the fence at the parking place of the Spottersplatz as well, gathered in great numbers. K3 is over there, having a front row seat for the imminent landing of the A380. Got another Embraer from Lot, Embraer 175, but I'm going to focus my attention on the behemoth that is behind it. It is Emirates Flight 147, the now number 3 worldwide most tracked on flight radar by 660 people. Daily flight between Dubai and Amsterdam, the A380-800. On average, 6.5 hours of flight time between Dubai and where it is right now. Today it is 6 hours and 38 minutes. It is the standard livery, the old standard livery. AMS Live members have access to the emoji, the custom emoji of the latest iteration, the ribbon tail. Be sure to use it wisely. This airplane is 7 years old, began flying in April of the year 2016. Let's look and listen. Emirates Flight 147.
Ja, waarom loopt hij? Ja, die moet auto.
Well, that definitely does not disappoint in the audio department. Not as much spray or vortices as we saw on last Thursday. If you missed the landing on that day, either check back the live stream of last Thursday or look at the compilation video I made yesterday. Last airplane in that video is also the A380 last Thursday. Excavator standing in the way. There she goes, vacating the runway back to the gate. Now also a big thank you to Roadhog, who celebrates 4 months of membership. And he writes, time flies on this channel thanks to Boy and Mods. Well, thank you so much for your continued support there, Roadhog. Glad you're still liking the show. Happy to see that you found some time after having been so busy for such a long period of time to frequent the shows once again. Thank you so much for your continued support there, Roadhog. And also a big thank you to Arjan, who just now gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much for that, Arjan. If you are one of the 5 recipients, don't forget to thank Arjan. Be sure to use the custom emojis that are now at your disposal whenever you see fit. Spam us to death if you will. They're there for that reason. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those new members, and once again a big thank you to Arjan. Now, if you are in no hurry to go anywhere, stick around. We still have the PHBVA, the Orange Pride 777 from KLM coming this way, arriving from the west. So even if Runway Center is going to reopen for parallel arrivals, we are still going to see that land. And the last airplane of today's show is going to be the China Cargo Airlines 747 arriving from Mumbai, expected around 1 p.m. That might become a landing on the center runway, but who knows? We have been on a lucky streak thus far, so we might catch a lucky break there. Next up is KLM flight 1342, an Embraer 190 that is approaching. Also, quick moment to go back to the laptop and say a big thank you to Evan for your super sticker. Thank you so much, Evan. Now, the description that I see in eCam is not showing on my phone, so I will have to go back to read the description in a minute. First, KLM flight 1342 having arrived from Billund. Quick turn back. It does look like things are opening up a bit now in the sky. A bit brighter. And that was the 100 underlined twice super sticker. Thank you so much for that, Evan. Once again, thanks. And let's see. Turkish flight 1961 up next in a special livery, biofuel livery. That's the first time I've ever seen this livery, period. Arriving from Istanbul. Flight time 3 hours and 6 minutes, par for the course. Normally 3 hours or so. 8-year-old airplane, first flight July 2015. Biofuel special livery. It looks nice on flight radar on the picture I see there. Is that spinach? What are they? Coca leaves or coca leaves as biofuel. That'll be the something. I think that's a nice description there, Jendrosek. Salad livery. It did look like raw spinach. Let's dub that the salad livery. Now, the second 767 of the stream. Icelandair being the first and LATAM Cargo now number 2. LATAM Cargo flight 1506 arriving from Miami, Florida. 767-300 ER. Flight time no longer visible. The airplane age is visible still 17 years. First flight October 2006. Now, also a big thank you to Paul, who just now gifted a membership, and I see that Peter was the recipient of the membership. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, Peter, and thank you so much for the gifted membership, Paul. Let's see, next up. KLM flight 1486 arriving from Humberside. That is an Embraer 175 underway for 40 minutes. The airplane 7 years old. First flight was in July 2016. And where is the Orange Pride? I am thinking it should be, and I do see it approaching the coast from the west already as we speak. So that is good news. It is coming this way. Still a couple of minutes out. JWB says, good afternoon. Busy working today, so being live with you guys will not be doable for me today. No matter, I will timestamp the highlights of today's show, so if you want to see what you missed out on, come back later and you will be able to go to the highlights immediately. Just take it easy and we will see you again on the next one. Right, more Embraers. Embraer 190 arriving from Basel. Is that it? I think it might be. Turning onto the glide slope, yeah. KLM flight 1986, Embraer 190 arriving from Basel. Just turned onto the glide slope. Janus says, buy a good camera or learn to use it properly because the image is not sharp. That is probably a problem on your end, Janus. Maybe the resolution is not automatically set to 1080. Get that remark often, that the image is supposedly not sharp, and that is 9 out of 10 times an issue with the resolution on YouTube on the end of the user. Unless, of course, you guys are all having unclear picture. In that case, do let me know. Now, are we able to see the next airplane turn onto the glide slope as well? I think we look to the left. We should see an A319 from EasyJet approach any minute now. It's always a bit hard to estimate how high it's going to be when it enters the field of view. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, and of course you guys are all seeing a sharp footage. Lack of sharpness due to focus issues or stream issues has not been a problem. Would be strange if that all of a sudden was becoming a problem. Okay, well, other live cams are sharp and mine isn't for Janus. That's too bad because other people are reporting sharp footage. So, don't know what I can do to make that better. feeling droplets. What the F? Doesn't look like it's going to rain, particularly not looking in the direction of the wind. Few minor droplets. Right, now. Of course, when I zoom in digital zoom, things get pixelated. I'm doing that right now. So this definitely will look unclear to you. It also looks unclear to me on my camera screen. That's because I sometimes use a bit of additional digital zoom. This is back in optical zoom range, and then you should have no issues with the quality. You're absolutely right, Wolfgang. Buy a sun for better lighting. Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. Let's do a fundraiser to buy another sun so that we can put that in the sky here permanently, burn away all those nasty clouds. Also allows me to get rid of my vitamin D tablets. Right, in the background, top left, the PHBVA, the KLM Orange Pride, flying today as KLM Flight 792, arriving from Sao Paulo. Now number 6 worldwide on flight radar, tracked by 376 people. The KLM Orange Pride, the PHBVA, same age as Choc-y that we also saw for the first time in a while today, earlier today. The airplane is 16 years old, began flying in January 2008. It is a 777-300ER, returning from Sao Paulo, where this airplane left from 10 hours and 33 minutes ago. There's also a big bird approaching from the right, overshot a little bit, turning onto the glide slope. That is Saudia, the 787-10 Dreamliner, arriving from Jeddah. Now we might also get to see the number 3. That's usually at 7 o'clock of the number 2. If we do get to see it, let's zoom out just a smidge, back to the optical zoom range. The third airplane, if we are going to see it, would approach from the left and would be a MAX 8 from Ryanair. Right, well, PHBVA Orange Pride, let's have a look and listen. Well, probably won't be using the reversers, but at least an up-close approach. Is that the first up-close approach since the new livery? Not sure. Well, we did get to see it from the McDonald's, I think, but not from Polderbaan. So there it is. It now has a toothpaste tricolore swoosh, demarking the two parts of the livery. Opinions about this livery differ. I think the common denominator is that the other one looked better. Now, the Saudia up next is the new standard livery, so with all the white. Saudia Flight 215 arriving from Jeddah, where this airplane departed from 5 hours and 51 minutes ago. 2-year-old airplane, turned 2 last month in January and began flying in January 2022. Right. Ryanair MAX 8 up next after the Saudia Dreamliner. Vueling A320 after that. And it looks like a 737 from KLM after that. Saudia flight 215, now the number 8 worldwide, tracked by 196 people. It's not very busy on flight radar, by the looks of it. But it does look like some of the viewers of Flight Radar are also watching AMS Live and traffic over here. That is nice. Now, this is also the first time that this livery is up close and personal here. I like even better is that the reversers were being used, and quite loudly. So the landing that had it all, well, not the wheelie. I have to say I like it, the new livery. I think it looks fresh, more fresh than that old livery did. Now, also a big thank you to JD for gifting yet another 5 memberships, and that was to celebrate 600 likes. So thank you all for liking the stream, and if you haven't done so already but you still like what you're seeing, don't forget to add to the number of likes. It helps to spread this content to other aviation enthusiasts such as yourselves that might also be interested in content such as this. Thank you so much once again, JD. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those new members. And don't forget to say Dankeschön to JD if you are one of the recipients of the gifted memberships JD gifted just now. Ryanair Max 8. Returning from Dublin. Now, horse and carriage. Also something you don't see every day over here. Why not? Well, looking up to see if we might be able to see outbound traffic just yet, but the answer is no, unfortunately not. The next airplane to arrive is Vueling flight A315, an A320 arriving from Barcelona. Flight time 2 hours and 4 minutes. The airplane is 10 years old. The first flight was in May 2013. Scrolling up, there it is. A massive big thank you to Austrian Wolf. Wolfgang, thank you so much. He just now gifted 10 more memberships. When as a moderator you really shouldn't do stuff like that. You're doing more than enough to support the channel as it is already. But thank you so much, Wolfgang. If you are one of the 10 recipients of Wolfgang's gifted memberships, don't forget to say Dankeschön, Herr Wolfgang. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, all new members. Be sure to use the custom emojis at your disposal. Use them wisely, but not necessarily sparingly. And a massive big thank you once again to Austrian Wolf for 10 new members. Now it seems that the drizzle that I felt was very short-lived. Don't feel anything anymore. Found it remarkable that I was feeling droplets in the first place, because it doesn't look like rain, even though it is still overcast. It actually looks a bit brighter than it did earlier in the stream. Next up is KLM flight 1354. Arriving from Prague in the Czech Republic, 737-800. 23-year-old airplane, first flight August 2000. Also look at the windmills in the background, hardly spinning. Wind is calming once again. Never was much to begin with. Minute ripples, that's it. Now the coot that we saw earlier, no longer seeing, seems to have gone back into hiding. There are still numerous people over here, despite the A380 having landed already. It was kerosene, that could be it. I also thought I smelled jet fuel earlier, but it all comes together now. That must be it. More Transavia 737s coming up. Up next is Transavia flight 6004, arriving from Porto in Portugal, with a flight time of 2 hours and 22 minutes, if I count correctly, because there is an hour time difference. The airplane is 22 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in March of the year 2001. See that Frank has also arrived in the chat. Good to see you, Frank. And Ian says drizzle here and more rain forecast again this afternoon. Yeah, it's been quite dramatic since, well, at least in the Netherlands, since mid-October. We haven't had any substantial periods with no precipitation here. I'm actually standing in, yeah, well, it's not dry grass. Thursday it was a puddle. The ground over here very much satiated with all the rainfall. Still. Next up is a Max 8 from TUI this time around. Arriving from Ceylon. TUI flight 2202. Max 8, that is 2 years old. First flight was in June 2021. Was it doubting there? I think for a moment I was thinking, shouldn't I say 19? But that is a long time ago. 1990 something something. And indeed, no gipslucht for me. Now, interestingly, talking about people who got injured during winter sport, in my airplane, my Transavia 737, on my way back, the row in front of me, there was a woman who occupied all 3 seats. Her leg, one of her 2 legs, was in cast, and she just used a Transavia flight to get back. Used the 3 seats to park her leg on, and that worked a treat. Back in the day, but this is a long while ago, Tyrolean used to fly in, what was it, ATRs or something? Turboprops between Amsterdam and Innsbruck. Still remember those airplanes. Now, would have definitely liked to have an opportunity to fly on one of those airplanes, although not while being injured. But if it means having to fly back on the same Transavia airplane that I would have already flown back onto, then might as well just be unscathed. Yeah, that's a good question, Frank. I don't know if she had to pay for the 3 seats as well. Her husband or her boyfriend was sitting next to me, so me and him had the row behind her for us too, so there was at least a seat free in between. That was nice. Not sure if she has to pay. Well, I mean, it would have been an insurance thing anyway, so don't know. I'm assuming that the seats need to be paid for regardless. Right, A330 from Turkish up next, and A330-200 arriving from Istanbul, flight 1957, flight time nearly 3 hours. That is par for the course. The airplane 16 years old, the first flight was in October 2007. Frank says, if your legs and arms aren't so great, then Tyrolean will get you on a Dash 8. Yeah, it was a Dash 8 or another turboprop. I don't know exactly what it was. It's been a while since Tyrolean last flew, of course. I think they've gone bankrupt or something years back. Now, we already saw a flyby of Sally and Steven Seagal. Here's the one. The other's never far away. They're both being quiet, so I don't know who is Steven and who is Sally. I don't have the skills to discern both of them by sight. What I can discern by sight is that this is the KLM, the one in the fleet with the the previous iteration of the standard livery. Look at the nose and you will see the line between the blue and white. There's a straight line from nose to tail. And not that curvy whale or smile or whatever you would like to see into it. That is standard on the airplane fleet these days. Bought by Austrian Wolf says, but that was because they were in financial bad weather, right? They were on the brink of bankruptcy, weren't they? Or was it just a takeover that they thought, well, let's just incorporate Tyrolean into the... And the one with the mean look is Steven. Yeah, duh. So we can see some departures from runway 24. Visibility is improving by the looks of it. It was said that we might get to see the sun now and then later in the day over here in the west of the country. What we are able to see now a bit better is glide slope shots. Speaking of which, how is Jerry doing? He wasn't in the chat as far as I remember last Thursday. Has anybody seen him elsewhere? Is he doing all right? Oh, and parallel arrivals have begun, not unexpectedly. Means that the 747 with near certainty is going to land on the center runway. This is KLM flight 1766, returning from Frankfurt, Embraer 175. And parallel arrivals have begun with Lufthansa flying in to runway center. A319, flight 2304, returning from Munich. Jerry has had too many glide slope shots. Well, that's not unthinkable. Or he's been busy repairing barometers. Hope he's doing well. If anybody hears from him, do say hi to him. Now, this is Stop Air Portugal, flight 670, A320neo, sunglasses on, a bit over enthusiastic considering the weather over here. 999 nautical miles, flight radar says, Lisbon to Amsterdam. Brand new airplane. This airplane began flying in October last year, so that is a month older than the A321neo from Transavia. And Embraer 175 from KLM going to the center runway, arriving from JD's hometown Düsseldorf, KLM flight 1856. Pressed on the Top Air Portugal label by accident with my fat fingers. Right, inbound traffic, can we see it? No, we can't hear it. Embraer 175 going to Stavanger. Yeah, you can hear it, but you cannot see it. Bystanders are probably thinking, what the F is that guy doing, pointing his camera into the sky? Oh, can see some nice cloud shape, structure, if you will. And a 2 airplane glide slope shot over there. Let's see, that is Transavia arriving from Alicante up first, and an A320neo from EasyJet arriving from London Luton. 777-300 arriving from Doha from Qatar on the glide slope for runway center. In the meantime, first, this Transavia 737-700 from Transavia itself. Not a rental or anything. Returning from Alicante, flight 6144. Oh. Overshot a little as I was also scrolling. Now, K3 that we saw earlier has been replaced with K4 in the meantime, by the looks of it. And when Frank says, when camera pointing skywards, you're shooting more than 50 shades of grey. Man, I miss the jokes. You're always on point with the puns. Keep them coming. This is Qatar Airways flight 273. It's 777-300 ER arriving from Doha. 6 hours and 15 minutes underway. No vortices emanating from the flap tips by the looks of it. Wing fluff over the top foil? Question mark. Also not that much. I'm thinking that 747 should not be too far away as well. We'll be going to the same runway probably as this Qatar triple is doing. Let me have a look and see where it is. Yes, I do see it. It's flying base. Which is not surprising. What would have been surprising if it were playing the base. Right, last airplane of the day, the 747 arriving from Mumbai is turning final. China Airlines cargo, flight 5685. That is going to be the last airplane for me for today. I do hope that the weather will allow me to go out for another live stream tomorrow. If the weather allows me to, I plan on going out tomorrow and on Monday as well. Not sure about tomorrow or Monday, but I think the weather for Monday should be reasonably okay. But tomorrow it was said a big area of rain is passing over the country somewhere over the day, during the day, but I don't know exactly when it is expected. If a stream will be possible or not, or if it's going to be a all-day drizzle. Really hope for a bit of consistently better weather. I haven't been able to stream that much lately. Less than I would have liked. But then again, it will get better at some point later in the year, the weather. E2 Embraer arriving from Stockholm by the looks of it. However, no, wait, there is another Embraer one. E2 Embraer. I think that's the E2 Embraer arriving from Stockholm, and then the airplane behind it should be the 747 that I'm going to end the stream with. Keep the camera at the same altitude and just move a bit more to the left slowly. Can we pick it up? That's the question. The answer is yes. Hell yes. Right, so folks, last airplane for my show here today. Landing on the center runway. China Airlines cargo, flight 5685. It's a Boeing 747-400 arriving from Mumbai in India. This airplane departed from Mumbai 8 hours and 41 minutes ago. It's a relatively new 747. The first flight of this airplane was in July 2005, and that makes this airplane a mere 18 years old. Research says, Vueling from Alicante. Will pick up my family back to Alicante. Do you mean that your family is on board that airplane or will be flying back to Alicante in that airplane? I'm not following. And Michael, I did get my bed set up. It was just a replacement of the mattress. I have a box spring, but the old mattresses were a bit, well, they had outlived their practical use, so just needed to replace the mattress, that's it. It's a matter of letting it rest once you open up the vacuum seal so that it can get back into its supposed to be shape. Now all I have to do is get rid of the old mattresses. I already tied them together I have to bring them to the disposal point of the place I live in. We have those places where you can collect bigger chunks of waste, mattresses, things of metal, wood. Downside is in my place of residence they only open up during the morning hours, so I would have to go there before going out to Schiphol on Monday. But that's okay. Not sure if I can fit it all in my tiny car in one go or if I have to make it a 2-episode run. That's something to concern myself with at a later stage. Right, she's landed. I think you might even hear the reversers. I'm definitely hearing them. And that is going to be the last airplane for me for today. And Asher Wolf asks about the Germknödel. It was very nice. It was I never had it before, so I have no frame of reference. So I don't know if it tasted better or worse than any of the other Germknödels that I have tested, because it was the first time having tried it. I did know of the existence of Germknödel, but it was the first time in my life that I tried it. The reason I picked that restaurant was because I am more familiar with Kaisersmarren, and I had the best Kaisersmarren in that particular restaurant. Also looking as nice as the Germknödel did, so I figured if their Germknödel is going to be as good as their Kaisersmarren, I'm solid over here. So I liked it a lot. The filling was nice. Well, can you call it condiments? The things that were also given on the side, the vanilla sauce and the fruit sauce, tasted great. It was very sweet, but it was very tasteful. So thank you again, Wolfgang, for funding me that Germknödel. I enjoyed it a lot. It tasted just as good as it looked. I am going to wrap it up now, folks. If you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to drop a like if you haven't done so already. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one, either tomorrow or Monday, hopefully. If not on these 2 days, then hopefully later next week. But I'm hoping tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, then at least on Monday. For now, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and for all your support. The super chats, the super stickers, the memberships, the gifted memberships, and the merch store purchases. Thank you all so much. Thank you also, moderators, for once again keeping the stream chat safe, accessible, friendly. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I am going to see you soon. For now, I'm going to say goodbye and see you all soon. Bye bye.